I believe my work has irrefutably proven that all of the structures that exist today, from religion to cultures to our philosophies, our societies, how our governments function, etc., all of them are linked to its root, which is the ancient Sumerian history. In those ancient Sumerian historical stone documents, it tells us about the gods. And when we really begin to delve into that, as I have done in my work, I was able to see the correlation between those stories and the Bible, the Quran, and all of the religious cultures around the world. And somehow it was hard. I was able to connect the dots and put them all together and be able to present them in my book and show that irrefutably this is the common connection of everything in society. I also share astrology and its connections. And believe it or not, even astrology has its root in ancient Sumeria with the gods. When the gods came here and created man, they also taught them things, and one of the things was how to interpret the stars. Additionally, I share how the gods have imposed their power over humanity and how the sovereignty of individuals, your right to own your own body, your right to make decisions and navigate this earth the way that you choose to, without hurting others, of course, is restricted by Torah. It's restricted by laws and statutes that are not just justifiable, that have no justice within their fiber and their makeup, but you still must obey. And so here we are right now in 2022, and we are trying to make sense of the realities that are happening around us that were always there, but now they are visible because all of the pieces of the puzzle have come together. Before, in human history, everything was separated, so there was no way to make sense of things. That is why it was so hard for me to make sense of religion and to be able to break the God spell. It was because everything was separated. In the book of Genesis, it tells us that the God of the Bible confused the languages of the people. And that had a purpose, because when the languages were confused, then the names of the gods that spread their teachings throughout the earth changed. Their names changed by the language that was spoken by the people. And so that created Babel, right? It created confusion all throughout the earth. And so here we are, fast forward to when I began to awaken and break from the God spell. I began to see how that program is discernible when we are able to gather the nuggets from everywhere. Every single culture has something to add to the puzzle that'll help us decipher, decode, and unmask what has been done to humanity. And that is the God spell. Whether you believe in a God or not, the way that our society functions, it functions under the spell of a God spell. And so, therefore, it's important, if we want to be able to decode this matrix, we must have the tools of all of the different aspects that help to build this matrix and make it function. And so for me, I was led on the path of astrology, of tarot, of Reiki. And those elements also contributed to my treasure hunt going down the rabbit hole. I knew the Bible. I studied it for 35 years. I was able to quote scripture very easily because that's just the way my mind works. And so being in religion, different types of religions, it enabled me to gather data and information that would help me construct this dynamic puzzle of the matrix of humanity. And so I feel very fortunate because it gives me has enabled me to have insight and to discern what is being presented before us, whether it is a religious philosophy, political, or not. And so I was in the Jehovah's Witnesses, and that religion enabled me to be able to see the greater picture of the delusion, the strong delusion that is being placed on humanity today. As a Jehovah's Witness, they practiced shunning and disfellowshipping. And when I say shunning, that meant that it didn't matter your connection to the individuals that shunned you. It could be your mother, your father, your grandfather, your sister, your brother, your child, your children. It did not matter. The religion made it where you had an allegiance to them, to the religion. And they made it seem as though to have God, you could only have God if you had the religion. And so, God forbid you decide to turn against the religion. They programmed all of their sheep to believe that if you rebelled against the religion, then you rebelled against God. And how dare you have the audacity to rebel against God? And therefore that gave everyone, including your family members, permission to pity you, to shun you, to disconnect and divorce their natural affection from you. And this is where the scripture says that in the last days there will be lack of natural affection. Well, we see it in religions today. We see it in people that should naturally love each other, that should naturally, they preach love, but they disconnect from the very expression of love, even to those who they should naturally love. Do you see this? And so to disconnect family members from one another based on how they think, their individuality, and their right to self-autonomy, to believe the way that they want through their journey through life, through the nuggets that they have picked up. It is a personal thing. But yet, because of the Torah and the indoctrination and the dogma of religion, it now has created an imposition upon the minds of each individual. And God forbid they rebel against the program. And so in the Jehovah's Witnesses, they saw fit to ensure that no one ever rebel against them. They put so much fear in you that if you rebelled, your family would turn against you and you would lose your family. That so many people stayed because of that. That program of being able to disconnect the natural electricity of love and familial connection is what has enabled the world now to use that same magic upon the masses of people. Because the Jehovah's Witnesses and religion have been secretly connected the entire time in putting the God spell upon humanity and the sheep. And so the way that the Jehovah's Witnesses have used mass psychosis upon the minds of the sheep in their religion, that data and that research of how it works on 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses is what the elite of the world who are connected with the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Freemasons, the rulers of this world, the elite and Lil, those, the data and the research from how to control 8 million people was now used to control the entire world. And so thank the Jehovah's Witnesses for the research, guys. They did an effective job. Bravo to them. And so now, because it worked on them, it is working on you. It is working on the world. And so we have what is unfolding right before our eyes. And we willingly surrender ourselves to obey the law, even if it is lawless. Do you see how this works? Even if the Jehovah's Witnesses are incorrect, which they have been, in their doctrines, in their false prophecies, their members, through mass psychosis, still remain. They will believe a lie that makes no sense, nonsensical, because they are under a spell. And so that same spell is being used on the world today. And so I wanted to share a little bit about the astrology of what I see in all of this and what it means. So there is something that I wanted to correct and give a little light and insight into. In 2012, people believed that it was, according to the Mayan calendar, the end of the world, or a portal being open, which definitely, in this time period that the Mayans were speaking about, and so many ancient cultures, there is a portal. There has been a portal that has been opened up. And so that portal is something that would change the dynamic of the landscape of our world. And that was understood and anticipated. What the realization, though, is that 2012, what everyone thought would be the change, was actually 2020. And without a doubt, we all witnessed a change that we had never really expected. As astrologers, we saw a change coming. I mean, I remember in my backyard, I had a seminar in 2015 where I was kind of warning people, get your money together. Money's going to change. And we will not recognize America. We will not recognize the world. Everything is going to be destabilized. There will be a war between those who are in power and those who are not. Initially an invisible war, but eventually it'll become evident to everyone. The only thing that I did not discuss was the possibility of a virus. And in retrospect, looking at the chart in 2020, it was so obvious that that was something that many astrologers did not mention and we overlooked, but it's just clearly in the chart. And that's what's so wonderful about astrology, is that you can foresee things. You can forecast just like a weatherman as an astrologer. But what's incredible is that when you are also looking from real time and you're going backwards, you're just shocked at what the planets were telling you the entire time. And it was speaking about a virus as well, being part of the destabilization of humanity. Another thing that people said about 2012 is that the Age of Aquarius would be coming in. Now, I believe the Age of Aquarius has already ensued even before this time period, because the planetary energies always invite themselves in before the actual date. So there's always a before effect and an after effect that always happens when we're dealing with planetary forecasts. And so the actuality is that, in addition to this, is that, people assume that the Age of Aquarius is something so wonderful because, there was a song in the 60s about it, and this is the dawning of the Age of Aquarius, and everybody's all happy, and there's a brotherhood and all these wonderful things. But remember, I always share that every sign has an opposite to its nature. There's a dark side and there's a light side to an individual's nature. And so everything about Aquarius is not all roses and perfect brotherhood and sisterhood and holding hands and all of those things. It's more than that. There is a shadow side. And so, no, the Age of Aquarius is not something that we hope for, but it's something that we work toward. And so what has happened is that humanity, the majority of humanity, the sheep, like in religions and things like that, have gone asleep. In the book of Romans, I believe Paul says a spirit of amnesia has fallen upon the children of Israel. And, that is just speaking about the fact that humanity is actually asleep. And we are not conscious. We are walking in the dark. We are groping in darkness because we are not participating in the realities of the forecasts in our lives. We have the opportunity to create the positive or the negative sides of every forecast. And this is why an astrologer, one that is adept at their skill, will not tell you with a certainty how things will happen or who you are as a person, but they will give you variables of a certain possibility and pattern. And so that is what I want to share briefly with you guys today, is that this age of Aquarius, this time period that we are in and what we have seen, especially since 2020, shows the variables of possibilities from the light side to the shadow side of what humanity can manifest for themselves. We see as astrologers, we've seen for many decades the possibility of this time period being a battle, a revolution between those in power and those not in power. Now, that revolution can manifest as those in power infringing completely their will upon the sheep and the 99%. Or it could be the alternative in that the 99% realize their own power and they stop the structures that will impose their own will upon them. And they will stop them from doing that and exercise their own autonomy. Of course, create certain laws that respect the individual's rights and that not to infringe upon someone else's. But beyond that, there should be no law. And so will individuals in this future time choose the age of Aquarius that allows the power structures to impose their will upon the 99% of the brother and sisterhood? Or will the brother and sisterhood decide that they want self-autonomy, they want sovereignty and the right to be an individual, that can choose where they go, what they speak and say from their mouths, how they navigate the planet, how they plant their food, eat their food, take their medicine, heal their bodies? Will they choose that for themselves? And if they are not allowed to, will they allow the imposition of wills to continue in their agenda to overpower them perpetually? Their children's children, their grandchildren, will they allow the imposition? And so the planets are speaking both of those languages. It has spoken it for a while. Which side will you choose? The blessings or the maledictions? And so the age of Aquarius not only offers those possibilities and variables, but it also offers the age of technology. And so we can see this even in the Taurus earth element with Uranus traveling in there for the last number of years. We see our money changing, right? What will our money be? Will it be fiat? Will it be paper? Will it be currency through the computer? What will it be? We saw even the Tesla car come out. Everyone was really excited about that. That is what the age of Aquarius can bring as well. Technology that we never thought would ever be possible. The way we communicate on the computers will change. The technology of the computers will change. Will AI be a reality? There is a desire by the powers that be that seek to impose their impositions of the singularity and joining of man and machine. As I have showed you guys on previous videos, this to me looks like mixing the iron with the clay that the book of Daniel speaks about. This is the imposition that the 99%, that the structures of government, that the planets are speaking about, that have the power to completely overpower us even more, take away the freedoms, your right to speak, your right to choose your own laws and destiny. The language they are speaking also is that they hope to turn you into a machine. You know, the gods of the Bible and religion, the Anunnakki and the 24 elders who contributed their DNA to the human genome, their desire is to be able to control you. You were designed to be a slave, and so you do not own your body, they believe. The elite are part of the genealogy of these beings. And so this is why even the Bible kept tally of every descendant. The kings and the queens and the monarchies, it's all connected. And so the only way that you can remain a slave is for you to be a machine. We are already machines. But to what degree will we be iron as opposed to earth? What degree will that happen? Well, it depends on you. Welcome to the Age of Aquarius. You know a lot now. You have the internet. You have information at the tips of your finger, and so you have become so intelligent at this time. The planets have spoken it. The photon belts, the rays of light have come down to the planet, creating a quickening within the consciousnesses of humanity. You are infinitely possible. You have an infinite well of possibilities, creativity, genius within your matrix. You are a spiritual being. You are more than just your flesh. You have been here forever. And there is something so wonderful about you humans that they do not want you to know. And so just think of your power at this time in the Age of Aquarius. Which side of the spectrum will we choose as the greater 99%? This is indicative of your power, what it is that they are trying to do. This is a power in the planets expressing the power between the powerful who have hijacked your will and the 99% who can be sheep or not choose to be sheep. And so they know how wonderful you are, how amazing you are, how divine you are. And if by chance they do not stop you, and they do not stop the possibility of the variable of the Age of Aquarius to bring a brotherhood and a sisterhood of the lower dynamic of people to say no more, take these chains off. They know the power of that unification. And this is why they're hijacking it at this time. This is when the planets will offer their energies to them as well. And so there is power within either side. And the power is only achieved by what we allow to happen, what the 99% give. because it cannot be done without you. Whether you are put back in chains physically or whether the chains are broken, it is up to the 99%. And so they have a greater plan for you. They have a greater plan for you to work the machines. Just like you did in Bible times, in religious times, when the gods walk the earth. When they return, how are they preparing the earth for that event, for that time? What will you choose? Which side of the Age of Aquarius do you want to be on? Which side do you want your children to be on? We are mind, body, and spirit. And that means all of those three parts of our nature must be acknowledged. It must be respected. And so you could be spiritual, but your hands are in chains. Right? You could have your hands in chains, but your mind could be free. But what good is it if 1/3 of us or 2/3 of us are imprisoned? What good is it? And so we have a choice, you guys, to free ourselves in all capacities of our nature, to further remove the burdens and the shackles that even as we've been free all of this time and enjoying our lives before 2020, we realize that even in that time period when things were wonderful, or so we thought, that we were giving away our power. The only ones that will change the physical at this time are those who create law. Whether it is crooked or justified, they will create it. And if you sit back and pray, and if you sit back and just light your candles, then sure, your mind might be free, but your body will not be. Which side of the Age of Aquarius will we be on? What will tomorrow look like and the future look like? Well, I have shown you the variables. The planets speak of either side. Either we are enslaved and captured again in all of our levels of what makes us human, or we will be completely free. And guess what? Together, united, without Republican, Democrat, black, white, vaccinated, unvaccinated, we will decide to join together as one. And when we are one, we are a Tower of Babel. And that is the fear. That is the fear. What will you choose to be? Will you continue to be human, or will you be machine? What makes being human so wonderful, so enjoyable? Well, I choose that. I choose the love of my family, the love of my children, holding them, holding flesh, hugging flesh, loving flesh. And if they offer you immortality, which is what they seek out for themselves and what they are gaining, if they offer that to you, will you choose the side of the Age of Aquarius that chooses to be iron? That is a choice that all the planets are offering us. The choice is, you have a choice right now between the blessings and the maledictions.